It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over. Setting up the flag now. Now, you can see the stars and stripes on the left.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Knicks Wall podcast. I am your host. I'm Anthony Corbo. I'm joined here today, as always, by the one and only Kyle Maggio. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, everybody?
We are part of the Blue Wire podcast family, of course, and we are being presented here today by Untucked and Manscaped. We got more on them later on. Make sure you guys head to theknickswall.com. Check out all the content we have going up on there. Follow us on Twitter, at the Knicks Wall, at TKW Podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, all those things, you know what to do. And I guess the place that we start here today is the Knicks lost another game by 20 points to the Detroit Pistons, 122-102. Kind of an interesting game, super close at halftime, and then just got blown wide open. Kind of towards the end of the third, there was one play in particular we'll talk about that I think really shifted the momentum, and the Knicks weren't able to get it back. And into the fourth, and it just became non-competitive after a while. Kyle, where do you want to start tonight? Do you want to talk about, I guess, the first guy, that kind of impressed me over the course of the game, and he played 39 minutes tonight? It was Frank Ntilikina. 6 points really early on in the game from what I remember in the first quarter. He was like 2 for 3 shooting really early on. Ended up going 5 or 7, and made 1 3-pointer early. He scored 11 points. He had 4 assists. He had 3 blocks, and those all came in the first half as well. Active defensively, like really everywhere out there. He was, in the paint. He was on the perimeter. He kind of waned as the game went on, but at least for the first half, I really loved what I saw out of Frank tonight.
Yeah, I agree. We all know that I've been very hard on Frank this last season or so. We needed to see him step up. I think a lot of people are getting excited by his play recently, and I think that that's reasonable. But, proceed with caution. It's been a couple of good games. The Celtics game was another very good, solid performance from him. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, a block. He's pretty efficient. Hit a couple of threes. That was a good Frank performance. That's all that we really ask of him. The bar is pretty low for him. 10 points, couple assists, and great defense. And that's good enough to start for some teams anyway. That's a step in the right direction. So,
and now, he's obviously been getting the starting role with Dennis Smith Jr. and Elfrid Payton out for different reasons over the last couple of games. And up until that point, the Knicks really hadn't been able to find any kind of continuity at the point guard position. Really, the closest we got was Elfrid Payton before he went down with an injury. So, do you? After a strong game tonight, and I would say, a capable couple of games in his last few starts, do you think that he's done enough to hold on to that starting position when those players come back? Or is there a little bit more he's going to need to do to really earn the coach's trust on that one?
I think, Elfrid Payton kind of got the job because he fell ass backwards into it. He's a perfectly fine player, but he's a backup. He's a good spot minute backup point guard. Like that's what he is. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not slanderous, but that's who he is. He's not like a good, solid NBA level starting guard. But anyway, they were hoping Dennis Smith Jr. could be, and obviously both those guys are out now. And so I don't know. I mean, Alfred hasn't really played well enough to warrant keeping the starting job, in my opinion. And Dennis needs to kind of show that he at least plays up to his standards of last season as a whole. He's got to at least look kind of like himself again, because the guy that we saw, for whatever reasons, whether he was rusty or he had issues off the court, because we know he recently lost his stepmother. So hopefully now that he's tweeting today that he'll be rejoining the team. So we'll see how he looks. But, he's got to look like himself. Alfred has to play better, but it's not unreasonable to think if Frank plays these next couple of games the same kind of way he played tonight, that maybe he holds on to it for at least another little stretch. I mean, that's if he's giving you 12, 4, and, a combined 3 or 4 blocks a game, steals and blocks a game, like, it's kind of what you want. Like, that's good. He's scoring more. He's passing more. You need to see more to be sold on it, but given the state of the point guard situation here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's kind of looking like, I feel like Knicks fans would be really happy if he ended up showing a little bit of what like a guy like Matisse Thybulle has showed so far this year. Like Thybulle's been like really active on the defensive end. It's come up on the stat sheet a bit, but like he's just been like a noticeable glue guy that's held the the Sixers together in a lot of areas through their when they started the season 6-0. And I think that Knicks fans would be really happy if Frank ended up being like that. Another kind of like, I think that they have kind of different areas where they might impact the defense, but I think another player who he could, try to like model more of a career after is, obviously Patrick Beverley. So yeah, I mean, I think if he ended up being a little bit like one of those kind of players, and it's probably too early to really tell too much with Thybulle, but I think that's really a positive situation for Frank. Someone else we saw in this game go off on a bit of a run, especially through that first half, was Julius Randle. Shot pretty well from 3 at the beginning there. He went 3 for 5 for the game, 8 for 15 on field goals. He scored 20 points. That was really about it for him, though. He got 5 fouls, a couple of turnovers. Not too much else on the stat sheet, but he was pretty active offensively in the first half. His defense was awful. But I mean, that's kind of not unexpected with him at this point. Really, I was just kind of happy to see him putting some shots down, because he needed something to go down. He has not had an impact on, a positive impact on the Knicks in the slightest so far this season. But good game for him tonight. And then there was that controversial foul call where I forget who it was he was fouling on that 3-pointer. Was it Markieff Morris, I think? Yeah.
It was Morris.
Yeah, so he hit him from 3. The Knicks were down 1 at the time, I believe. A little bit more than that, but like 2 or 3 points. And it ends up being where he fouls him on the 3 and steps into his spot. So it's ruled a flagrant foul on him, and altogether after the free throw and the possession back to the Pistons, it ends up being a 6-point play before the Knicks have a hand on the ball again. What was your impression of that foul call? I think that was kind of the first time I had really seen a flagrant called on that kind of on that kind of a foul before, and I just kind of want to get what you made of it.
I mean, the refs have been a little more. I don't know if I want to say strict.
That whistle was blown tonight. They weren't holding back on that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, but not just like this particular game. I mean, the league in general. I was on Twitter tonight, as I am every night, because this is 2019 and I'm addicted to my phone. But I was on Twitter tonight, and I noticed that a couple other guys got called for flagrants, like the step under fouls on the jump shot, and they're just very strictly enforcing that kind of stuff this year. So I guess just stay away. Don't rush guys like that. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to not commit those fouls sometimes. I don't know. I feel like the context matters. Like if you run into somebody as they're doing it, like, okay, you got to call it. But if you're like trying to stop, and then it just so happens to go under, how is that?
I don't agree with that being called a flagrant. Like I think that there is.
At least
I think that they need
foul.
to do. There's something that like needs to be done about, because that I get it. That is dangerous. Like you can't have guys going to where guys are going to land, because we see a lot of injuries that way. But it's too steep of a penalty when you can make it a flagrant, because like that's like the worst case scenario happened with Knicks tonight, and that's a potential 6 points play. Like I get it. Like Randle's defense sucked. He shouldn't have fouled on that. Like he was late getting back there, and it was a lot due to because he hasn't put enough effort into that end. But that for that one play, like I mean that's a potential 6 point play. That's just a really, really steep penalty and can really, really swing a game. Because like I mean, even if that happens, if the game is tied up, then like you're down a pretty good amount at that point. So like for the Knicks to have been down a couple of points at that point, it just completely put them out of the game, and they just spent the rest of the game trying to chase that till they gave up.
Yeah. It was it got ugly quick, man.
Yeah, I mean it really swung after
that first half was enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really that one call to me that felt like it really swung it. That it kind of ended the game right there. I don't know. Oh, and obviously Mitchell Robinson being out with concussion symptoms after 8 minutes. Do we have any update on that?
No, nothing yet. Probably, got to get evaluated tomorrow. See how he does tonight, and kind of go from there.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if they could do anything to rule it in or out, but yeah, but it's so that kind of sucked. Like, hope he's doing okay, because I just thought, I mean, Bobby Portis was god awful tonight. I mean, can we talk about how bad Bobby Portis was tonight? Like,
when he's off, he's off.
He's like a doormat, man.
Off. And I wasn't. I'm not trying to. I actually like Bobby a lot as a. I like the idea of Bobby as a player more than I like him as a player, and I also think he's a tremendous person, a personality. So I'm not trying to like really rip into him, but he kind of moves like a guy who has arthritis. Like he's just very, like it looks like his body's just straining to go through the movements that he's putting it through.
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe it to you just accurately, but that's the vibes that I get.
He just has no. He's just got no like maneuverability to him. He's got like no lateral movement. He's just like he can just like run at the rim, and that's really about it. Like he can't. I feel like he's not very comfortable running backwards. Which is a problem when you're an NBA player. It's just,
I feel like running in general.
Yeah, he's just kind of awkward out there. And I mean, like, I don't know. I just feel like he's been around enough at this point where he's not going to really try much harder than he's trying now. And it's just kind of like really, obviously he's on a ostensibly a 1-year contract with the, second-year team option. But man, this is the guy we gave like $15 million to? Like, I get it. He can go off for like a 25-point game some nights, but like literally anybody else on the team can do the same thing. Like, that is not a skill that's in super, high demand on the Knicks right now. You have Julius Randle, you got Marcus Morris, you got, RJ Barrett, you have, even to like Trier or Knox at certain points. Like, those are all guys who are pretty much capable. Knox a little bit less so in Trier because he's not getting playing time, but like that's at least already like 3 guys ahead of him that can get an easy 20. It's just his. I don't understand what he truly offers to the team. I thought it was a way better move, kind of moving to Taj Gibson a little bit in the second half, and like he doesn't really do too much out there, but like Lord knows he's not like just actively avoiding the ball on defense.
Yeah, just just back to Bobby for just a second. Like, it makes sense. Like, he shot 40% from 3. He played most of his minutes at the 5. It's 2019. He's a stretch jump shooting big man. Shooting, you need it. You need it at that position. You need to be able to space the floor. Like, it makes sense, right? It makes a lot of sense. But then when he's on the floor, it doesn't. It's just very confusing. So I don't know if David Fizdale needs to keep shuffling the lineups and trying to figure something out. I don't know if having actual point guards, come back. Elfrid Payton, Dennis Smith Jr.
I don't know if we have actual point guards.
I mean, Elfrid at least is your prototypical pure point guard in the sense that he's just gonna look to pass first. Dennis is, though he assists at a similar rate, he's a scorer by nature, so he's looking to score first. It's just,
can we just
they're definitely point guards.
Can we just agree on something after like 8 games here? This team makes no fucking sense. Like, no part of this game makes sense. Like, this.
Now, I don't want to rile everybody up, but this is kind of why all summer I was trying to like be the wet blanket, because everybody was angry all summer with the power forward jokes and it's going to be fine. Marcus Morris plays the 3 and, Bobby Portis plays the 5. But like, even with that, and you put them as whatever positions you want to put them as and label them however you want to label them as, they still all have very similar games and like to operate out of very similar areas. So just because you want to yell and scream and say, well, this guy plays the 3, this guy plays the 5, they still kind of muck it up for each other.
Yeah, it's not so much that they can play multiple positions. It's just kind of that they all play no position. And they're all kind of in the same space.
It's great. Yeah, it's great that they can, play the 3, the 4, the 5, play multiple positions, mix it up a little bit. But tonight I saw Marcus Morris out there at the 3 with Julius Randle at the 4 and Bobby Portis at the 5. What the fuck are we doing, man?
Yeah.
What do you hope to accomplish from that lineup? Like, what? I don't even remember who the guards were at that time. I'm going to assume one of RJ Barrett or Frank Ntilikina, probably RJ Barrett, because he apparently never sits down anymore, was in the game. But what?
I mean,
that's not a good
definitely going to end up trading. Yeah, Knicks are definitely going to end up having to trade somebody off this team because it's just not making sense now. I'm just worried that they're going to go the wrong way and trade like somebody they don't have to, like Knox or some shit,
No, dream scenario for me. And I actually very much enjoy having a Morris brother on our team this year. I've been, like there's those guys around the league that you always hope you get to root for one day. Like Patrick Beverley's on my list. I hope I get to root for him one day on my team. one of the Morris twins was always on my list, so got to check that off. But I would dream scenario they flip him for like a first. Like they just kind of showcase him for a little bit. But I don't trust this team to ever do that.
That would have made more sense to me to like sign to a 2-year deal, or like a year plus, or a 1+1 with the team option on it, whatever. Because like then he would have any kind of value in a trade. I just like worry that because he's on that, just simply like a 1-year deal with nothing at the end of it, like no one's going to want to give up a first for him,
Yeah, I mean it's a decent point, but you got to hope somebody wants to overpay. That's a contender.
Also,
I feel like we have this conversation every year with like.
I realized today that.
What was that?
No, I realized today that Marcus Morris is literally just Carmelo Anthony with a bigger body and less shot volume. Like some of the moves that he was making out there, like it was just like he's just like slower footed Carmelo Anthony out there sometimes. Which is fun. That's it's exciting to watch. Also, I had a thought today too. Kind of think Carmelo Anthony might be. This might be fun. This is a take. You ready for this? I think it might be interesting if Melo signed with the Warriors. Think about it. There is
interesting is a word for that.
There is no one there to get in his way right now. Eric Pascal put down 34 points the other day. Like, I didn't know that name until he put down 34 points the other day. And I also heard that in their game, was it a day or two ago, the player with the most experience in their lineup right now, the most tenured Warrior, I should say, in their lineup, was Damian Lee, who is on a 2-way contract. He could do it, man. He could do it. If Melo wants a swan song, go play for 3 months. Not even the full season. Like his contract is literally until the day Steph Curry gets back, and then he sits.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you might as well just bring him back on the Knicks and let him get a swan song. I mean, what? Give us something to cheer for. 1-7. We got to play the fucking Mavericks on Friday. We're in no position to play KP. Luka Doncic is averaging a goddamn triple-double, and now you're going to drop this shit on us on Friday.
Get to that, but here's the thing. Imagine putting Carmelo Anthony into this forward mix we have right now. Like taking nobody out and just sticking Carmelo Anthony into the middle of it. I mean, that is hell. That is basketball hell right there. You literally have every power forward at that point. Every one of them. All right. I got to read some ads. Support for the Knicks Wall podcast and Blue Wire comes from Manscaped, who is #1 in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. We've all had those moments where things have gotten a little bit hairy below the belt, and that's why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't nick or snag your nuts. Manscaping accidents are finally a thing of the past. Don't use that same trimmer on your face you're using on your balls, by the way. That's just nasty. Manscaped also has the Crop Preserver and anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put deodorant on your armpits. Why are you not putting deodorant on the smelliest part of your body? Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BLUEWIRE at manscaped.com. Always use the right tools for the job. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BLUEWIRE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code BLUEWIRE. The holidays are almost here, and you know what that means: gifts. And what better gift to give the guy in your life than a stylish shirt that fits just right? Unlike most brands, Untucked shirts are actually designed to be worn untucked. Untucked shirts always fall at just the right length, no matter its size, so we always looks casual and sharp. You know that those shirts you buy, everyone's got a couple of them that are just a little bit too long, just a little bit too baggy. They kind of go around that midpoint in your thigh, and it's just too much. It's no good. You kind of look like you're wearing a garbage bag. And Untucked has more than 50 plus fit combinations. So they look great on tall, short, slim, and athletic guys of all ages. It fits your frame really well, and they have all these different materials and designs and color options to choose from. It really gives you a lot to be able to customize, and you can find your favorite Untucked style online or check out one of their 80 brick and mortar stores. So whether you're shopping for the perfect holiday gift or just trying to craft a small, relaxed style of your own, Untucked is the way to go. Visit untuckit.com and use code BLUE for 20% off at checkout. That's untuckit.com and promo code BLUE for 20% off. And lastly, support for the Knicks Wall podcast also comes from Axios. Following a team you love in 2019 can be time consuming. Trying to follow everything happening in sports is almost impossible. Scrolling through every app and visiting every website on a daily basis is impossible. That's why I subscribe to Axios Sports, the best free daily newsletter in the land. Axios Sports is a modern sports page delivered directly to your email inbox. When you sign up for free at sports.axios.com, you'll get the best stories from the NBA and the NFL to cricket and ping pong and everything in between. Axios Sports also highlights the most important stats and trends, giving you the ability to stay informed. It's super simple to sign up, and it's free. Sports.axios.com. Not only will you be caught up, you'll be the friend sharing an amazing link with your buddies. Join the 100,000 sports fans who will get caught up on the day before it even begins. Best of all, there's no paywall, no subscription fee, nothing. This is free, curated sports content delivered directly to you. Sign up at sports.axios.com. Again, try it for free at sports.axios.com. So, the other thing that kind of was bouncing around Knicks Twitter over the course of the last week was we come into a little bit of a load management crisis of our own. There's been LeBron James load management crises. There's been Kawhi Leonard load management crises. And now we have the RJ Barrett load management crisis, which began after the Knicks got blown out by Sacramento Kings in a game where RJ Barrett played 37 minutes, I believe. And after the game, David Fizdale made some pretty pointed remarks about load management being BS and all that. And, basically, going on to the trope that RJ Barrett's a rookie, he should be able to play all of the minutes that he, can handle at this point. And it seems to be something that's really polarized the fan base at this point. Some people saying that, kind of what echoing Fizdale saying, where he's a rookie, he can handle this workload. This is not going to be a problem for him. And some saying that, we need to not be playing him in games that are, unwinnable and unnecessary because it increases the risk of injury and long-term wear. So where do you stand on this one? Do you think RJ, should be resting at the end of long games and in those garbage time minutes, or are we all about getting him all the reps he needs to get?
So I am firmly in the middle. The way I look at it is, I mostly agree broadly in the sense that, yeah, I mean, he's 19 and he's in incredible shape and he's built like a grown man and he seems to be like, stamina-wise, he can play these big minutes. And we always complain that our young guys don't get to play enough. So, on one hand here, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, let him play as many as he wants. This is fantastic. And then on the other hand, the argument is very clear. What people were saying, it's basically, you can play him big minutes, but why would you play him? It's like you're playing him big minutes for the sake of playing him big minutes when you're down 20 with 4 minutes left, you know? This is kind of silly. It's like, why even, what's the purpose of keeping him in the game now? You know, like it's over. It's over. Like, you're not coming back 20 points in 4 minutes. Like, just give it a rest. So
now
I think that's kind of the distinction people were kind of being willfully ignorant about. You know, it's what it comes down to is, you know, that. Anyway,
my opinion is that RJ is a rookie. Like, yeah, I kind of am a little bit in the middle with you as well, but I kind of am taking a bit of a different approach on it where he is a rookie. He can play, you know, those kind of minutes. I think a good coach and a, you know, capable player realize at a certain point when the game is going to be out of hand, and then you need to use those minutes effectively. Like, those are the minutes where RJ Barrett should be practicing his 3-pointer in a real, you know, in a real game scenario. Like, those are the minutes where he needs to be working on, you know, the other kind of parts of his game that he wants to improve upon. Like, those are kind of the minutes where I want to see him, you know, going off and taking kind of crazy shots. Like, the only way those extra minutes at the end of the game get wasted is if he is just kind of doing more of the same thing to trying to force his way to, you know, an unreachable win, you know, just for the sake of competing. And I worry that is the approach that Fizdale trying to take right now. And that's kind of what I read from his comments the other day. To me, that's a mismanagement of his minutes, where you're just kind of leaving him out there, you know, with no real game plan or reason for it. But to me, if you were able to use those minutes for real experiment, you know, really experimenting, really trying to work on things you've been working on and get them up to game speed, like that to me is worthwhile. But you know, they need to be working on those things both in practice and outside, and making sure it's also a case of they need to be honest with each other, and RJ needs to be able to tell them when he is not feeling it, and if he feels things starting to be a little bit too much, because at that point, that's when we need, you know, the coach to be able to take it down a notch.
Yeah, pretty much. Just be cautious. But I mean, I saw entering tonight. He was fourth in the league, not just rookies, the league for minutes
He's
played so
sandwiched
far.
between Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum.
Yeah, like, it's a little high. I don't mind that he plays a lot of minutes, but you don't got to play him all.
Right, he should be playing above 30. I don't think anyone's trying to disagree with that. Like,
to me, the 30, 35, and 35 should be like the high end.
Totally.
And then if it's a close game and you need him, then you play him closer to 40. You know what I mean? Like, but just playing him 40 on average every night, like, I don't know what it's a little too much. And normally I hate agreeing with like the group think, but it's sensible, you know? It's just too many.
Yeah. And I think that we will get there. My concern more than anything, it's not even really the topic at hand, it's how it was handled. I'm more concerned with, you know, Fizdale taking a very, you know, kind of like a really, I don't know what to say, a stubborn approach maybe to this whole situation. Like, you know, like, I don't think that he should be scoffing at the idea of load management, because like I don't you know, I'm very much for load management being a thing throughout the NBA, and I think that players who handle, you know, obviously they're paid more than other players, but you know, the guys that handle more on a night-to-night basis, like, their body is going to wear down faster than the other role players who aren't playing as much minutes. Like, that's just a fact. So playing them the same amount of games is a tough challenge on those high volume guys, and that's when we see, you know, those kind of major injuries happen that come from, you know, wear over time and being run down. So, you know, I really think that I really think it's something that should be considered in the future. Now, obviously, the Knicks aren't a team that are worrying too much about playing their guys, you know, 100 games a season with playoff runs and stuff like that. But it is still something that, they should at least be concerned with for the time being. So I guess, before we get going here tonight, the only thing we really got left here is to look ahead. And there's kind of a big game coming up on the schedule, Kyle. This Friday, it is the Knicks will be on the road. They will be playing against the Dallas Mavericks. And that means it's going to be the first time that the Knicks face off against their former number 4 pick, Kristaps Porzingis, who, as everybody who is listening to this podcast knows, left the team under very tumultuous circumstances in late January, to which the Knicks were awarded Dennis Smith Jr. and 2 picks and everything. But Porzingis is back on the court in his first year, after tearing that ACL, and he's been finding a pretty good fit down there with Luka Doncic, kind of going nuts as well. And it's going to be tough because I know he's going to be motivated to prove a point, and I know that the Knicks are probably going to be motivated to prove a point to him as well. But the team, this is definitely a matchup the Knicks are going to have to step up for. Dallas is at the very least competitive, and with the talent that they have on the court at a given time, it's going to be a tough challenge for the Knicks to be able to keep up with them, I don't even know, who do you try to stop Luka with?
You got to go Frank, right? You don't have another choice. And if Frank is the man that we say he is defensively, it shouldn't be a problem. Luka's going to get his, but how difficult is Frank going to make it for him? Is Frank going to get in classic Frank foul trouble in the first 4 minutes? That's the main thing that I'm keeping my eye on. KP and Randle have matched up many times in their short career so far, many times. And they've gotten the best of each other a few times, and they're going to be banging. And so we already know what's going to happen with that one. Randle's gotten the better part of KP most of those matchups. I hope that continues, but Randle's still trying to find his footing here. But honestly, I think you got to put Frank on Luka. That's the only thing that makes sense. And Frank's rolling right now defensively. He's feeling good. 3 blocks tonight from your point guard. I will take it. That's not a thing that happens often. So hopefully,
he's
he keeps
good with that
rolling.
too. He's just long enough to be able to, hold his own down a little bit lower. Just keep his arms up, be able to get those blocks. But yeah, you're right. He is going to be the only hope the Knicks really have. I don't really see anybody else being able to stop him. And then, I'm even interested to see what Mitchell Robinson, if he ends up playing, will be able to, potentially him holding down Porzingis just because of his length alone. But yeah, we'll see. I'm certainly not holding out hope that Julius Randle is going to have a good defensive game against Porzingis. It's happened in the past before, we've seen it, but he has just looked really bad up until this point. So I don't know if this will be the moment where it all comes together for him. But it's certainly going to be a charged game. I'm looking forward to it. And I think we all know what we're all hoping for in that one.
Just won a fucking game, man. Jesus Christ.
I know. I really, after watching the first quarter tonight, I thought they were going to have it. I really thought this was going to be the game they were going to be able to bring it. I thought Julius Randle was going to have it. I thought Frank was going to have it all game. I thought RJ would be able to come around, but it just, we haven't even really talked about RJ tonight. He was just kind of quiet out there. Yeah. He needs to hit his free throws, man.
This is what I liked about RJ when we talked about him all off season after we drafted him. I liked RJ because I wasn't worried about him the most, aside from Zion, with his like bust potential, if you want to call it that. We talked about it at length that I felt his floor game, was meant, kind of for a successful NBA career. Guys who try on defense, give a shit on defense, guys who are always passing and assisting, not necessarily getting gaudy assist numbers, but a solid amount. And you could tell they was making like the right play, the right read. And his rebounding for his position is just tremendous. So I felt like even on nights when he wasn't shooting well, which is tonight, he was 4 of 12 from the field. From the free throw line, what was he? 6 of 11. So, I mean, he's shooting terribly today, right? But even still, he was finding ways to stay involved in the game. 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals.
Yeah,
You know what
and I
mean?
do
Like,
think that the
that's
free
kinda
throws
what I
will
like
come
about
around.
RJ.
I'm not really all that concerned about it, but
I
well,
don't know.
he is
I don't
finding
know.
his
I
way
mean,
to the line, like you're saying. That is super important, and like often pretty hard for a rookie to get down. Like, I mean, we're still waiting for like Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox to be able to get to the line effectively, and RJ just comes in and he does it from day one.
yeah. So I mean, I'm confident in RJ, but we'll see what happens. I would just like a very efficient, very I don't know, just dunk on KP, RJ, please. Just give us one
Yeah,
thing to root
I
about.
need
This has been a
something
tough
like
couple weeks.
I need something. I really, oh man, at least dunk on like Tim Hardaway Jr. or something for me. The amount of times I had to talk about that fucking scrub. I
I
did
tried to have
too.
his
I
back,
really
man.
did. He's a scrub.
I felt bad, man. I know he was trying. He didn't hand himself that $72 million
He was
contract.
trying, yeah.
He
Oh
had
yeah,
to
he
sign
did.
it. He
What
had
did
no
the Knicks
choice.
came in like? What, 24 million above any other team? Oh man,
Yeah, we
I
basically
mean by a
outbid
lot.
ourselves,
But
but
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't. I didn't really have any ill will against Tim Hardaway Jr. I just got real tired of talking about him after a while. Also, we have a couple of more games after that this week. We have the Cavaliers and the Bulls. The Cavaliers game coming on Sunday and the Bulls on Tuesday. I would say those are both pretty winnable games. Like you're saying, the Knicks really, really need a win because we are 1-7 right now, and it's looking pretty dire out there. Like I don't even. It's kind of crazy to me to think that like we were tossing around the idea of the Knicks possibly winning 30 games this season because like unless something clears up, like this team just doesn't have any continuity out there.
yeah. So our fellow Blue Wire pod mates, if you even call them that, I don't know what the
Podcast
proper
family.
terminology is, but our podcast family. Laz Jackson from the Pistons vs. Everybody podcast. I was just on his pod, so he's in our Blue Wire family. You can go follow his pod. Great guy. And we chatted about tonight's game briefly, and he asked, he's like, what's up with that roster? Like, it just doesn't make much sense. Like when they're all running around together. And I was like, yeah, it just kind of feels like everyone's trying to do their own thing again. It feels like there's no. I feel like it's a bunch of guys trying to accomplish the same broad goal and trying to implement their own individual plan to get there. Like they all want the same end result, and they're all on different wavelengths on how to get there. And it's just like Julius is trying to do everything on offensively. He's trying to throw every pass and score every point and be a first option he's not supposed to be. RJ's trying to come in and make a statement from day one. Frank's fighting for his life to stay in the NBA and on this Knicks roster. it's just a weird dynamic right now. I hope they get it figured out, but there's like no chemistry right now.
It's just like
I don't know.
Like they're
really
trying, they're looking for something out there. Like they're talking to each other at least. Like so, there's some hope. But like, yeah, I just don't see the avenue towards it. Like, I feel like we could stagger these rosters, we could change these lineups around, but like, it's just not a good mix of personnel that they have here. Like they need to start trying to think of ways that they can get some value out of certain guys on the team and like get some guys who can play better positions and are on maybe, contracts that could be unimposing over the next couple of years, because I don't know. Like I don't know how they change this up. It really, a lot of it comes down to Randle being worth the money that he was paid. Like he just needs to be able to be a leader offensively and passable defensively, to be able to, I just want to see him making a difference on the court at least. And, we'll see what he's able to do over this next season or next couple of months at least. Like he's got some value. I don't think he's an unmovable contract at any point. And I think it's kind of crazy that we're, talking about that so early on, but it's just something's got to give. And I'm not sure what it is with this team.
I stand by Julius Randle and my belief in him. It's not easy. I hope to look smart a month from now, 2 months from now, and we can laugh about these first 8 games. But I stand by him. I think it's tough to come in and be tasked with being the top option on a team. I think he's capable to a degree, but there's going to be ugly nights. Like tonight, yeah, it was great to see him get back on track shooting. That's definitely important. Scoring is always going to be the most important thing. He just, they got bullied on the boards tonight. Drummond was just stockpiling them. Julius was rendered ineffective. That's a big part of his game. You can't disappear like that. Assist-wise, RJ was kind of point man tonight, so Julius didn't really get many chances to do too much. He just wasn't really defensively. He wasn't good. The last good defensive game he played was against the Magic this season in Orlando. But he's got to start putting it together. I love that guy. I'm on record. I wanted him here. He just doesn't look. It's like every game he does a different thing well. Like there's a game where he'll pass better. He'll like pass and rebound well, but he can't score. Then there's a game where he's not doing anything well offensively, but he's at least defending well. It's like, and he's just not putting it all together. And I'm hoping it's just new situation, all new teammates, new offense, like you're trying to fit in. But we'll see. I mean, next 2 to 3 weeks should be very, very telling. December is when teams start to really settle into whatever identity they've kind of carved for themselves. So we'll see. I mean, starts with Friday here. Let's see what they got. This is obviously going to be a contentious game. So, we play them twice in a 7-day span, 6-day span, I think. So let's just get it over with, man. Just win one of these games. Just one. You split it, I'm not going to be mad. You lose 2, I'm going to be mad.
I think that's a good place to look forward to, and we will see a lot. We'll learn quite a few more things before we talk to all of you next week. So everybody go subscribe to us on iTunes, on YouTube if you haven't already. We appreciate all of you. Check us out on Twitter at Corbo Anthony, at Kyle Maggio, at the Knicks Wall, at TKW Podcast. Head to theknickswall.com. Read up on what our writers are delivering right now. Always a ton of great stuff. And a lot of games coming up. We will talk to you all next week.